Keegan has done so much in a short space of time that far from training him before the game at Hamburg, I had him in bed right up to the kick-off. And he could have jumped out of bed and went onto the pitch to play. That would have been better, I think. But that's their business. It's nothing to do with me. I mean, obviously the man's got qualifications, and Hamburg's done well. With the proper approach, and maybe a different approach, they might have done even better. But that's a question that's been broached many times and discussed. But where do these Scottish schoolboy internationals, Irish schoolboy internationals, Welsh schoolboy internationals, English schoolboy internationals, who crop up every year, hundreds of them, what happens to them? And this is the question. I mean, are they being coached right? I'm not blaming the coaches. Are they being trained, overtrained? Are they being getting their heads stuffed with stuff that maybe they don't understand?
What about advice to a young player? I know that you've mentioned that you watched Tom Finney, for example, kicking a ball against the stand.
That's right, that's right.
And practicing his basic skills.
That's right.
A young player can do that for himself.
He can, exactly.
What would you say if you saw a young player?
Well, Liverpool's got training boards at the training ground. They can do that there. It's something tangible to play the ball against. Instead of putting it in the net, it doesn't come back out the net in a hurry. It stays in. So you've got a wall or a board or something to play it against. That's going to help for you. So I saw Tommy Finney doing a basic thing round the back of the stand at Preston. Standing about 4 yards from the stand, he'd hit the ball against the stand and he would take it in his stride with his left foot and control it and shield it away from the opposition. And he would dribble a little bit, then he would play it against the stand again. And he would control it with his right foot and carry it a little bit. A basic thing, but a very important thing. Because clever players can come in on the blind side of you and take the ball off you when you're taking a pass, if you're not a good player. And you can't shield it and you can't control it. So Finney was doing basic things like that.
And he was a first-team player?
He was a first-team player. He was the star of all the stars.
And you're still doing that?
Well, he was doing that then. That was just after the war.
Still concentrating on his
basic thing, maybe he found that he wanted to be better at this particular skill. So there's certain skills, and he was practicing this one, which really and truly was a very important skill. It was taking a pass from somebody, a sharp pass straight at you and taking it in your stride. Not an easy thing to do, and not a natural thing to do, so you've got to practice it. And Finney was practicing that.
Word that's used a great deal these days is motivation.
Yeah.
What is motivation?
Well, motivation is geeing people up, preparing them, mentally for the game. Maybe saying something that might take some weight off their mind. There's a little bit of psychology. But deep down, the fact is that Liverpool really didn't need to motivate them because, as I said before, that each one of them was responsible for the performance of the team. And we weren't expecting you as a player to win the game by yourself. So we shared out the worries. We shared out the play. We shared out everything. Motivation is supposed to be coming in and jousting people up and, telling them, come on, do a little bit, No, that wasn't the motivation at Liverpool. They didn't need to because they were all the same pay. They were always trying to win something. They were always in a high bracket. And their status kept them going. And you really didn't need to motivate them. Maybe some of them, some players, everybody has them, got them. We had a boy called Lindsay, and he was full of skill and, class, a real class player. He'd been very a long time, and Alec needed a little bit of a needle occasionally, especially in training, because he found the training hard. You see, we talked about the training, and we had players like Alec Lindsay, we had players like Jeff Strong, players like Tony Hateley, came from first division clubs to Liverpool, and they found our training hard. Alec Lindsay found it hard. Now, it wasn't that it was harder than what they were before, it was different training. As I told you, we trained to play football. So Jeff Strong and them found it hard, because it was in little 2-minute spells, of torture, with a half-a-minute breathing space then and again. They found it hard because it wasn't any harder than the other stuff, but it was different. If you're a half-miler and somebody tells you you're in a marathon race, you find it hard. And so that's a different race.
So this is in fact the exhaustion and recovery.
Exhaustion and recovery. So we had a killer of an exercise, if you like to call it that, and the big boards where we put Tony Hateley and Jeff Strong on them. And there was only 2 of them, and there was a goalkeeper each end, or a player who represented the goalkeeper. It was only a feeder of the ball, really. And the boards were up because if the ball went past the goalkeeper, the board stopped it, and the game didn't stop, you know. It was continuity. When the ball goes in the net, the ball stops, so you got a breather. So we didn't want any breathers at Liverpool. Even in the rear side pitches, the trainers were, if you kick the ball out for a rest or throw another ball on, you not got a chance. No way. Now that's the attention to detail. We're in little rear side pitches on the lines, you know, 45 or 25. And early on they thought we'll get a rest or throw, so we seen it, so we threw a ball on quick. So this thing, it was a very hard exercise. It was 50 yards long, the pitch, and about 45 wide. And there was only 2 of them involved in the function. And it was a real hard one. And Jeff Strong and Hateley succumbed. They nearly went down. Oh, yeah, it was a killer. I mean, I told you before that we had training sessions that could have made even that trainer of Hamburg gasp, you know, or the superstars even. They do the heavy stuff. It was a real control, dribble, shoot, sprint, control, dribble, shoot, sprint. Oh, dear God, it was a killer. And they were ill. I thought they were going to be sick, both of them. So we had to pack it in. So it was, instead of giving them 2 minutes, I give them a minute. Then we'll give them a minute and a half. Then they go to 2 minutes. Then after a while they get used to it, and they got nothing to them. Then I said, now you're ready to play. So the things we started, it was very hard. Got to the stage when they could do 5 minutes was hard, to go to 10, 15, then 20 minutes. Said, oh dear. So playing football was an easiest thing in the world. So Liverpool players went out ultra fit, ready to play, with their lungs exercised and their legs and all. So we tried it out. It was just, I tried it a minute and 2 minutes, minute and a half, 2 minutes. Then we could go to longer, and when the re-exercise started, we started at 5 minutes. That was hard. And it went to 7 minutes, and it went to 10 minutes. And then we knew that if they went through this barrier, that we're all ready. So we had a yardstick for training.
But that's fascinating, because it's basically, it's short spells, as opposed to somebody running over sand dunes for hours and hours and this kind of thing.
Well, football's made us stopping and starting and twisting and turning. So that's how you train. So this was all but twisting and turning and stopping and starting and getting a little breather. I mean, in a marathon race, you don't get a chance of a breather. Or a mile race. You've got to go on and on and on. But football's a different story. You stop temporarily. It might just be for a split second, but you stopped. You can get your breath in and you go again. So Liverpool train that way. So you could have a breathing session. I'm just doing anything else but breathing. Jumping up and then breathing, and jumping down and breathing, and sprinting and then breathing. So this is how they trained. Stopping and starting and twisting and turning. And these fellas found it hard to start with, then it got easy for them. Yeah. So we knew that they were ready to play.